Hello and welcome to another SonicLAB. Yes, it's still hot here in Sonic Towers. I'm dressed accordingly in my loud shirt. And today what we're looking at is the Korg NTS-4. This is the latest in the new Tekt range, and this is a compact 4 stereo, 2 mono input channels, USB audio interface and mixer. It comes in this box. You can see if I flip it round, it's also in kit form, so we have to build it ourselves. It has USB-C input, it has 9-volt power, and we just make it ourselves. So let's open it up and take a look, and we can see how easy it is to put together. This is where I cut to a sort of time lapse of me putting it together. I'll comment on how the build was during and after. As ever, before you start, and maybe making sure you've got a decent space, somewhere you can put screws down where they're not going to fall out, check the packaging and read the instructions. Then it's just a matter of following those instructions, which are very clear and very straightforward. You really don't need to be any kind of DIYer to be able to put this together. Just to sort of, you know, if you can change a plug, you're probably going to be all right with this. If you've never touched anything like this before, then maybe get a mate to do it, but it wouldn't take them more than maybe 10 or 15 minutes. The fiddliest part was probably putting all the different screw threads on to all of the things that poke through the top surface, but there is a tool for that, a tool for the smaller ones and a tool for the bigger ones. Then it's just a matter of putting the knobs on, putting all the caps on the switches, putting the case together, screwing it all up, and it just worked pretty much straight out of the box. Right, after that brief time-lapse interlude, you'll see that I've now got the NTS built. It's here, it seems like fairly sturdy. That wasn't too bad. It's nicely dealt with in terms of instructions, USB-C connection, DC 9-volt. So, time to fire it up and see how it performs. Got it set up with a few things coming into it, but let's just take a look at the features. We've got, if I just bring that in a little bit more here. So we've got 2 mono inputs with a pan and effect send, and 4 stereo inputs. So we've got 10 inputs that we can have to this. We've also got a send and return, which are both stereo, so you could put that like maybe a Chaos pad or something. Little MIDI out on here, so I guess you can feed that from the USB input and have it as a MIDI output. This doesn't transmit or receive any MIDI, so you can't automate any of this stuff. Then we've got, coming down, we've got the little buttons. Are quite nice actually. If I go here, you can see there's the little sort of quite nice little collar of red and green here. I may have put them on the wrong way around. I quite like green at the top, but that's just the way it is. Then we've got our level controls, and that all comes along to here. So we've got the send effects, and then we can change the send effects through all the different types. I'll go through that in a second. Each effect type has 2 parameters. Typically, like delay would be time and feedback, whereas perhaps the reverbs would be high frequency damping and time, you know, for instance. Then we've got a master effect on the end, which could be any one of a number of parameters. So we've got low pass filter, high pass filter, ISO, flanger, phaser, decimator, drive, distortion, compression and limiting. Can bypass that effect again by shift. Sorry, I don't normally do it this way, but that means it's not actually, and those have all got 2 parameters as well. Then down this section we've got little peak indicators, headphone output on 1/8" jack, headphone level, USB audio return, because this will do a 2-channel USB audio, and then cue balance, so we can listen to the cue against the mix, and then the main output. All pretty cool. I mean, these are the sort of things that you would expect. I mean, anything else, it feels kind of solid. Nice that we've got an on-off switch. It is quite compact as well. Just a little note on the cue mix. Pressing Q sends it to the cue mix, and the cue balance will basically set that. So if you have it far to the left, you'll be hearing the main mix output. If you move it round, you're only going to be hearing the cue signal. Also, cue is pre-fade, so if I muted this track and had it in cue, it would come out only out of here. So it gives you an additional 2-channel busing system, somewhat rudimentary, but still pretty handy. So let's just mute a few things. We'll start off with KO2s coming in here on a little stereo jack. That's the reverb. Let's take rid of that. Let's bring our This is just a sort of straight 303 style line. So let's just go tight onto here. We're going to our effects. Let's start and listen to a few of these. So delay, switch it on. So we got just a mono delay. You can get some nice car plus kind of stuff. These are fixed effects. We can't do anything with that, but it's quite a nice creative effect. Let's just go to the stereo. This is a stereo delay, feedback and time. Then let's bring in, let's try reverb, time. This is the sort of big reverb. Just to give you an idea, I've got a reverb actually on the Roland as well. This is a bit sort of darker. Then we've got reverb 2, which is a bit more of a sort of splashy. This is a tilty cue by the sound of it. Then we've got, let's put a bit of, this is like a slapback early reflection. And this is more of a sort of really pingy short one. Let's try, and then chorus, which is a really nice wide chorus. And that's it for those. I'll just bring that back to my reverb because I like that one. Take that out. So let's now have a look at the master effects, which I'll turn on. That's a limiter, compressor, got a low pass filter. Get some really nice effects. It's a bit fiddly to get to them, but that's cool. And we've got a high pass. I think this is isolation. It's kind of interesting, almost like a sort of EQ. Flanger. Phaser, like the phaser a lot. We can shift and we can bring the return level down, so we've got a blend of those effects. Then we've got a decimator. Maybe bring the beats in. Quite a nice creative effect. Drive. Distortion. Oh my. And then compressor, limiter, and then switch it off. Let's go back to, I like my phaser, I'll save that for later. So we've got a decent number of effects, parameters are kind of nice. These are fixed, we can't, like in some of the other NTS, like I've got the little, like this guy, the Korg, is this the NTS-1? New Tekt synthesizer. This has those sine vibes, a slot that you can put your own effects in. You can't do that with this one. It's what it is what you get. But you know, they are quite nice and they're quite good fun to play with. It can be a bit fiddly getting in there. That's the only thing I would say. You may have noticed there's a little bit of noise creeping in sometimes. I think that's the KO2, it's a bit noisy, but that does bring up another point, which is when you've got all this stuff hooked up via USB, there are going to be perhaps ground loops. I've seen another couple of videos where that is the case, and yeah, you could definitely hear it at high pitch wide. I don't know if there are any isolators that work on USB-C, because I'm just powering this on USB-C. I suppose if I powered it by DC 9 volts, then I wouldn't have that, but I might want to plug it into my computer, which I've got over here, just to have access to that 2-in, 2-out USB audio interface. While I'm on the subject of the USB audio interface, I've got my little Android phone here. I've put my volts adapter just to power it, and my USB is now going to my phone, which I have here. Let me just show you that. Actually, it's probably better on this one. This has just got a virtual instrument in BandLab. I can then turn up. So I'm playing my USB return into here, and I guess I could record into this app as well if I wanted to. So bi-directional, 2-channel, 24-bit, 48 kilohertz, it seems to be fixed. So let's just build a bit more of a vibe. So I'll run this and get my I'm just running this out of the sync from these. 3, 4. Like that, then I've got a little thing running on this guy. Get a bit of jamming going on. I could be recording all of this over USB. And it's all kind of fun. I like the fact that we've got access to these mute buttons. Q-Mix is obviously going to be useful if we're maybe working on you know, live and you've got a Q-Mix. I mean, those are all sort of handy things. The only thing I will say is, obviously, there is an elephant in the room, and that is the fact that there is also still out there the Zoom L6. Zoom L6 has only 10 inputs, admittedly. It does have EQ. It does have SD card recording on board. It has a multi-channel audio interface, I think 10 or 12 channels. It has an effects unit, which isn't anything like as good as this, admittedly. And it is a little bit larger, but it does also have 2 mic preamps and an effects send. So I guess it's just whether this form factor maybe works with your setup. I mean, you know, in this situation, it's probably a similar size to the Roland S1. The L6 would probably be a little bit bigger, I'd imagine, and maybe require a bit more power, although that does take batteries. So it's really a question of whether or not it's the right thing, because, I mean, these sort of mixers are very specific. These little, you know, these little tools, they are very specific. Also, I should add that this not only has the 10 inputs, but we've also got that stereo return. So effectively we've got 12 inputs on this, which is a bit more than the Zoom as well, but just worth mentioning. Oh, one thing I should mention, these inputs will accept line level and modular level, so it's a little bit more flexible than the L6, so that might be a factor. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Korg NTS-4, available now, or certainly in stock again soon, £200 UK. See you next time. Thanks for watching.